Some really powerful words from Fatima Payman and some it's going to be a really difficult one for Labor to manage, to be honest. So you can see how heavily this has been weighing on the senator. As you mentioned, she became emotional when she was, giving her opening statement, providing the reasons for her decision to quit the party. It is all about the Israel-Gaza war. She is a woman, she's 29, her family fled Afghanistan, so she says she's a person who absolutely knows what it's like to be on the receiving end of injustice, and this current conflict pierces the heart and soul, she says, and requires an urgent response of moral clarity. She then went on to criticise the government, saying the government's indifference, in her words, to the greatest injustice of our time makes her question the direction of her party. Really interesting comments when she talked about the split between the government here in Canberra and the rank and file grassroots members outside of this building. She says she's torn because she's receiving a lot of support for her stance by the rank and file members, by union members, but here in Parliament House, she says she's pressured to conform to caucus solidarity and conform to rules. Now, that is true. If you're going to become a Labor senator or a Labor member, you are signing up to century-old rules on solidarity. It's all about collective decision-making. It's been described to me as part of the DNA of the Labor Party. But of course, this particular issue might start to trigger some questions about whether those rules are sort of fit for purpose, whether those rules are outdated, particularly in an era where parties, especially the Labor Party, are trying to broaden their appeal to a more diverse electorate. So the upshot, Roz, is that Fatima Payman, she says, has made a decision with a heavy heart but a clear conscience to quit the Labor Party. She relayed this to the Prime Minister a short time ago. She said that it was a respectful conversation, but she also took a bit of a whack at Anthony Albanese basically over his handling of this issue. So there are going to be some tricky and difficult questions for the Labor Party to confront now that Senator Payman has confirmed she's leaving the party.
Yeah, and where does this leave the Labor Party in the Senate?
Yeah, well, she made it pretty clear that Labor wants her Senate seat. So, of course, if you're elected to the Senate, you're part of a ticket. So she was number 3 on the ALP's ticket in Western Australia. It must be said that she certainly wasn't a shoo-in. It was only because of the huge, wave of support for Labor in Western Australia in 2022 that saw Fatima Payman elected to the Senate. So Labor clearly wants that seat back, but she is under no obligation to do so. She's told the Prime Minister she will be sitting on the crossbench. So numbers-wise, that leaves the Labor Party one number down. So to get any bills through Parliament, through the Senate rather, Labor will now need to convince not only the Greens but 3 crossbenchers, just making its agenda, just making it just a little bit harder to basically get its agenda through. And yeah, I guess just to sort of finish up, the optics of this are just very tricky for Labor. You have a 29-year-old woman of a culturally diverse background, the type of person, the type of MP that Labor has been trying to recruit into its ranks to ensure that it is a party representing an increasingly diverse Australia. And here we have Senator Payman quitting the Labor Party, taking a jab at the Labor Party's position on the Israel-Gaza war, accusing some of her colleagues of intimidation, accusations that her colleagues very much flatly deny, but ultimately, leaving the party in a pretty difficult position at the end of this sitting fortnight.